Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Okay, welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News channel. The world is watching. Here, those other people stole our slogan. I forgive them. It's really good. How could they resist? We might talk a little bit about that ostrich farm later, but not right now. We have other things to talk about, and it has been, I think, a fairly uneventful day out at the farm, and it's an ongoing standoff, but not surprisingly, no major developments there today. Still no decision from the Supreme Court on whether the court will hear the appeal on whether to allow the Canadian Food Inspection Agency to cull those birds. And here I am talking about it right off the top of the newscast or program or whatever you want to call this these days. I'm probably going to comment a little bit tonight on journalism and how we're in a lot of trouble because there is just complete chaos out there in social media land, making it virtually impossible to know what the heck the truth is. It's a subject that keeps coming up as well. Isn't it weird how ostrich farm and that, because it all connects. NATO. Now, this is the bigger story. NATO is mobilizing. They're mobilizing for the biggest aerial operation in modern history. And they've sent some air tankers over to Europe to participate in that, support it. Also, Denmark. Well, we'll get into all of these other stories. Bottom line is NATO is mobilizing its forces. Russia is ramping things up. Trump meets with Netanyahu. We've got all these things going on. Everything points to war. That's the point. Everything is getting worse, not better, even though Trump says he's negotiating peace deals worldwide, and yet we are closer to World War III than we have ever been before. I'll show you why tonight. It's serious. What else do we have? Polyev talking about bailouts for the steel industry, grocery prices, inflation, fuel. What else? Oh, my. Oh, it just everything seems to be coming back to preparations for war tonight. Well, if I have time, I'll show you how to destroy a steering wheel in a car. It might come to that. I may pivot over to material that is less than orthodox, material that might just take us down a side road or two tonight because I've just about had it.
About responsible spending or partisan disagreements. Like it's not. The media, as always, floods you with distractions, pointless culture wars, political theater, manufactured scandals, but they won't touch the core issue. And here it is. The American government, under both Democrats and Republicans, has built an economy on theft from the poor and the middle to fund the insatiable appetite of the rich. The most glaring example, Donald Trump's 2017 tax cut bill. That bill was not just a transfer of wealth, it was a declaration of allegiance. To whom? Corporations and the...
I don't even know how that got on there. It's not even in my video queue. I swear. Like, that's a video that you may recall, I produced that to show that it's completely fake. And then we had somebody on who's like, wouldn't believe me. That's 100% AI. And they're putting words in Professor Richard Wolff's mouth. And it was the same video with different audio. And you can tell because his head match. I don't know how it ran. Oh, there it is. I see it. I don't know why it was triggered. It's over there in the queue. It's weird, though. This is what, the third night in a row we've had bizarre things happening. Okay, weird. And it's all connected. It is, because hackers are coming after us over the last few days. And that's all related to everything else. I'll come back after this and we'll start talking about the news and pretend that everything is fine.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right. Let's start with World War III. I mean, it seems like it might be important. Or the potential of World War. We're in World War III. What I'm talking about is, ramping up and it becoming a full-blown kinetic war. It's happening. You can see it. So how do I know this? Well, because Denmark. Do I have some supporting material here on this? Here we go. I believe this will back up what I'm about to tell you. Denmark has called up reservist forces because of these Russian drone incursions into NATO airspace. How many was it? Yeah, I think 130,000 soldiers. No. I'm sorry. Nope. No, that's Russia. Oh, no, this is not that many. Here, I'll show you this. Okay. Ukrainian experts joined Danish Air Forces for drone defense drills after airspace incidents. And so they're taking this very seriously. And yes, right here, about, Denmark calling up about 3,000 reservists. Because these drone incursions and fighter jets coming near or in NATO airspace also raising concerns and ringing alarm bells. So 3,000 there. But that's not all, folks. Wait, there's more. Some officials in both Poland and Britain now coming out stating publicly. Now, this is, not like the prime minister, but other officials are openly saying that Russia is now at war with NATO and the West. And they are saying, you better wake up, other NATO countries, before it's too late. So there's this rhetoric now escalating to that level. In addition to that, We have air tankers from the U.S. heading to Europe. Here's a supporting article for that. Daily Mail. And there are a whole slew of other reports on this tonight. Flight trackers have spotted a fleet of U.S. air tankers crossing the Atlantic just as Donald Trump prepares to meet with generals and admirals tomorrow. Around a dozen KC-135RT Strato tankers were making the journey on Sunday night, with several en route to RAF Mildenhall, a major Air Force base in England. Open source intelligence accounts reported on X. The presence of air tankers can indicate that the U.S. or NATO is addressing an urgent military requirement for fighter jet refueling capacity. So we are hearing that this is for the largest, what's the right phrase here? Let me get it right. The largest air operation in modern history. What kind of an operation? I'm hoping it's a drill. The deployment carries ominous weight, according to 3 Defense Department sources, 2 former, 1 current, who spoke to the Daily Mail on condition of anonymity. So everybody's trying to get comment from credible sources within the Pentagon. The last time the U.S. moved tankers in comparable numbers was 5 days before American warplanes struck Iran's nuclear facilities. Trump is meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House today. And we'll talk about that too. The movement of the Strato tankers comes as Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth are preparing to hold a shadowy meeting of the nation's top military leaders in Quantico, Virginia tomorrow. The unprecedented meeting, first reported by the Washington Post last week, has raised alarm. Yeah, so we've talked about this. It is, I can't think of anything like this that has ever happened in my lifetime. And the reasons they've given publicly for this meeting just don't wash, because it basically what it comes down to is they're saying all these generals, all these military leaders, U.S. leaders from all over the world are being called back to the United States for this meeting tomorrow, basically for a pep talk. That's really what it came down to. And there's no freaking way. No way. So you see all these other assets being moved into place here, stuff being moved into place there. See these air tankers going over other NATO countries. Bringing up reservists. We're seeing more and more money being spent. And I have a feeling that we're not being told everything. Really? Yeah, I suspect so. There's a lot they are not telling us. Like probably this. They've probably been spending a lot more money than we know. And they probably have already started ramping up munitions and arms manufacturing for some time. They probably have a lot more ready to go than anybody knows about. That's my guess. And if not, they're in the last few months, certainly since Trump has come back into office, they've ramped it up for sure. Abso-freaking-lutely, because all the war drums are beating everywhere. And the war itself in Ukraine with Russia, it's ramping up too. We keep hearing, oh, well, Trump is going to do this and we're going to get peace over there. And then you get these meetings and the performance in the White House where Zelensky is raked over the coals and J.D. Vance calls him out and it looks like they hate each other and they're trying to make him look like a little man. And I don't know if any of it's even real or if it's all a big performance to make it look like things are more disjointed than they really be, that, Ukraine is has more support. Maybe not. I do know this: Ukraine has been striking inside Russian territory over the last few months, and they keep escalating. Russia keeps escalating back. The reports are that Ukraine has now destroyed about 20% or more of Russia's oil processing capacity. As a result, Russia has stopped exporting diesel fuel, I believe. They're restricting exports of other energy, and they have gasoline shortages like this. And then I've seen some live streamers, likely propagandists, saying this is like a replay of what it was like back in the old Soviet Union. See if I've got any other video. Okay, here's another one. I don't know exactly how fresh some of this stuff is. Some of it looks recycled to me, but recycled within the last, week or two. Lineups, gas stations. How serious is it? It looks pretty serious. This can destabilize a country. People start stealing gas from each other. Oh, I even remember back in the days of Jimmy Carter when there were gas shortages, gas rationing here in Canada, and I think in parts of the U.S. as well at the time. I remember right when I was a kid. And as a result, people here started to steal gasoline from each other too. In the middle of the night, people would go out and drill holes in gas tanks and put containers underneath them, steal gasoline. It still goes on today. Catalytic converters are the big thing now. People going out there with battery-operated sawzalls and chopping off the cats to take to the scrapyard and cash in because it's the most valuable part of a car. With a lot of scrap cars, it's the only thing that is of value, and the sheet metal going to be worth more because of all the tariffs. So that's it there too. So we're told that half of Crimea's gas stations are shut down. The rest are rationing 30 liters per driver. Queues are winding their ways through a lot of cities. That's because Ukraine continues to launch drone strikes on refineries and sparks. This is sparking chaos at refilling stations. This is apparently affecting about 25 different regions across Russia. It's the kind of thing that the government just can't hide. They can lie about things and try to ignore it, but when you have something like that, that's right in people's faces. That is the impact of the war. That is truth. And that is why I clued in. Oh, how long would it be now? A year and a half ago? That what we were being told about, especially from the pro-Russian influencers, they were lying, just 100% freaking lying. It'll be over in a matter of days. It'll be over next month, 6 months later. It'll be over in a week. And that it was just constantly like that, just one lie after another. They also have laws in place over there where you are not allowed to criticize the military. You're not allowed to show battle damage, buildings damage. You're not supposed to show it on social media. But when it gets to a certain point, things become just very obvious, like gasoline lineups. And that, as I say, can disrupt things. That can undermine efforts to fight a war. It just undermines the spirit, because it shows that it ain't going as well as you are being told. I think it's going poorly for both sides, frankly, because they're losing so many lives. But even there, I would say question everything you're being told. In terms of numbers, there's no real way to know. So you have to assess and try to come up with an opinion based on terrible information all the way around, because none of it is really that reliable. We're told that Putin has ordered, though, 135,000 men to join the military. It is a ramped up draft, the largest in Russia in how many years is it? 9 years. 135 men to be conscripted into the army, the largest autumn draft held by the Kremlin in 9 years. So from October 1st to December 31st of this year, conscript 135,000 Russian citizens aged 18 to 30 who are not in the reserve and are subjected to enlistment into military service. The decree states, according to the TASS state-owned news agency. Vladimir Smilansky, head of the Russian General's Staff's mobilization department, has also insisted that the conscripted soldiers will not be deployed to the forces currently invading Ukraine, a promise Moscow has previously been previously accused of breaking. Yeah, no kidding. No, it's okay. Sign here, and you don't have a choice, but sign anyway. And we promise you're not gonna. We won't put you into. We won't put you in. And once you sign, you do whatever the hell you're told. In fact, you do whatever the hell you're told even before you sign, because it's a draft. And I shouldn't be laughing because it's terrible. Oh my gosh. Okay, see ya. I'm going off to war. And that's got to just be a heartbreaking moment. I hope that it doesn't come here, but with the way things are going, it ain't looking good. This goes on. It says the latest order also calls on federal agencies, this is in Russia, to organize the conscription of federal employees as well as workers from subordinate organizations. Russia holds conscription drives twice a year, in the spring and fall, with last autumn's drive bringing in about 133,000 soldiers. So just a little bit more this year than last. And if things were going great, they wouldn't need to do that. Now, what's it say here? Since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the full-scale invasion of Ukraine began in 2022, keeping in mind that the invasion, or the first invasion, really took place like in 2014. This has been going on much longer. And even while Donald Trump was in office the first time, even though he says, if I had been president, this war never would have happened, it was ongoing when he was president the first time. The Russian military has averaged about 127,000 new conscripts every fall. Earlier this year, Russia recruited 160,000 soldiers during the spring draft cycle. Despite the Kremlin's promises, the conscripts won't be deployed to fight in Ukraine, where hundreds of Russian soldiers die every week. Ukrainian officials have repeatedly claimed that conscripts have been captured along the front lines. The conscription comes as part of Putin's demands that the Russian military expand to a force of 1.5 million active personnel by 2026. That's 500,000 more from the 1 million they have now. To meet that decree, Moscow passed a bill last week which set to eliminate the biannual conscription orders and replace them with a year-round draft. And that way they can just constantly tap into the population of young, able-bodied men to bolster Russia's military. And we are seeing here that there are stats out there suggesting Russia has suffered nearly 1 million casualties since the beginning of the full-scale invasion alone, 2020. Sorry, 2022. Okay, so there's that. Does it feel like a third world war is brewing? It certainly does to me. What else we got? Oh, yeah. Zelensky asked if Trump has, if he thinks Trump has his back. So in this conference where he's appearing by video, He says, well, Trump is attitude, and we have seen that. Let's bring this up. Okay, here we go. Interesting response. He pauses and thinks about it before really answering the question. Says,
100% confidence that Donald Trump has your back.
he pauses, doesn't say anything, and he's just like, he just sighs, and then this.
President Trump, as his rhetoric's changed, the signals have changed, and the attitude to Ukraine and security in Europe have changed. And there is a deep understanding of what's going on the battlefield, and it's important that it corresponds to reality. Reality that we see every day. His attitude toward justice and just responses to Russian aggression.
It has been a shift in tone, attitude, sort of, except I think to put it into real perspective, which I keep trying to do here in recent nights, because perspective is important. Trump said, which he's never said this before, yeah, I think Ukraine, with the help of Europe, could win back all of its territory, all of it. But if you really listen to what he was saying, he's not, there's no way he's committing U.S. troops at this point, I don't know if ever, to support Ukraine. He's basically, because he's saying that they would supply weapons for sale to NATO countries, and then they can do whatever they want with them, which was in itself also, and I've seen General Keith Kellogg in an interview in the last day being asked about this, and he basically acknowledges that this is Trump giving the green light to Ukraine to take the gloves off and really start to aggressively strike targets inside Russia. This, I think, is the real response, not just the sanctions or the threats of sanctions against Russia, to Russia's unwillingness to really get serious about a ceasefire or peace talks. This is Trump's real response, which is that he is now just basically an international arms dealer, selling, marketing for the arms companies. That's what he really has become, without fully committing the United States. Oh, we'll just profit from it. We'll sell the arms to you and rake in the cash. Totally get it. But I think that's more the reality, and that's why the pivot. And if you're going to sell the arms, you better tell the people buying them that they're going to work. Yeah, you should buy these tanks and F-35s and whatever else we sell you so you can win and you can go all the way with this this brand new fighter jet. So he's gone from, we don't want any involvement, we're going to get out of all these wars, we don't want anything to do with what's going on in Europe, and people being very concerned that the United States is just going to pull back and not be involved in NATO at all, to, well, wait a minute, if we sell everything, just transactional, let's make a deal, sell the arms. I think that is even worse in a lot of ways, at least though the United States is still there in some capacity. But that being said, this puts the United States in a very, I don't know, a very unusual and I would say questionable position ethically, because once they sell those arms, well, they have to support them actually with ongoing service, including satellite positioning service for some of that stuff. You need that You need that support from above. So there is Elon Musk and Starlink and the other military satellites they have up there and things we don't know about. But just ethically, it puts the U.S. in this strange position. It's like, are you involved or not involved? You know what they're going to use these weapons for, and you're selling them to them anyway. So therefore, are you responsible? Well, no, we just sold them to them. It's up to them what they do with it, but and you're profiting from it. So should you be held accountable? And if so, where does that leave the United States? Like, do you see where I'm going with that? This is a dilemma. If you think that you can just wash your hands of, and to keep the blood off by saying we just sold them the guns. Oh, gun control. There's a sticky issue. Let's supply the whole world with guns. And then say we're not responsible at all. Well, I guess they kind of do have to meet certain criteria. You have to. Oh, no, you can be a psychotic weirdo and buy jets. No, you can't be. Yes, you can. You can be a dictator. Yeah, you can. Yeah. Well, you couldn't oppress your. Yes, you could. You could be oppressing your own people and they would still potentially sell you weapons. Yeah, they would do that. Russia would never. Yes, they would. They would do that too. Yep. Yeah, okay. Can I go buy a 12 gauge for hunting? Okay, fill out this thing here, get a psychological evaluation. Are you on any medications? Do you have any history of mental illness? Oh my God. But you want to buy an F-35, or you want to buy a whole fleet? No problem. How about some Abrams tanks? We've got those. HIMARS? Oh yeah, lots. How about Tomahawk missiles? Ukraine wants some of those now. They would be useful in striking strategic military targets deep inside Russia. Looks like they might just get them. They have their Flamingo missiles, but boy, there's nothing to. That's no substitute for the Tomahawks. Those things, they could, be extremely useful. A game changer? Oh, probably. Yeah. Although I see now also, you want to talk about World War III kinetically, Russia ramping up because they've been showing off their fifth generation fighters. They're saying they're ready to deploy them. And then I saw Putin saying just within the last 24 hours, well, we haven't even really done anything serious yet. Is that hyperbole? Maybe. Who knows what the truth is, because they're all engaged in deception, bluffing, just like a game of poker or chess, but poker, bluffing, maybe, maybe not. Depends on what cards they're holding. Just don't have the cards, Zelensky, but you do now because we're going to sell you Tomahawks. Okay. And yeah, Ukraine has a right to its sovereignty. It's a right to self-determination. Yeah. I don't know about the ethics behind it. Some of this stuff makes me very uncomfortable, especially when Donald Trump orders destroyers and aircraft carriers and nuclear submarines and half the U.S. fleet to blow up a couple of fishing boats off the coast of Venezuela. Something's not right psychologically with the United States, Canada too, as a collective whole right now. Everything's gone off the rails. People are not thinking straight. And I guess it's because of social media and we are in the fog of war. Civil war unfolding in the forms of these really amplified protests. We are seeing these clashes between ICE and Antifa in the streets, and people are rejoicing in it, excited. It's like sport, blood sport. Clash of the gladiators, back to the age of the Romans, I guess. But it's in the streets. That's where the Colosseum is. We're going to be fed to the lions. Well, some people say, rise up, lions. Oh, don't even get me started. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Trump had this meeting with Netanyahu, who used the occasion to apologize for airstrikes inside Qatar. That's where they took out or tried to take out the Hamas leadership. With that airstrike happened earlier this month. It did kill a Qatari security official. At the time, Trump distanced himself from the decision by Israel to do that. He said that and he posted on Truth Social, he said, it does not advance Israel or America's goals. Qatar has been a host of discussions where they were hashing out ceasefire agreements between Israel and Hamas, It's a country that also has about 10,000 U.S. troops there. So this put the United States in a very difficult position because basically the sovereignty of Qatar was ignored, violated by Israel by launching that attack. And I don't think that the Qataris saw it coming. Clearly they didn't. We're not warned. In any event, Netanyahu apologized for that today in this meeting. All this as well, while Trump laid out what he says is this like a peace plan for the Middle East, for an end to the conflict between Israel and Hamas. He said, and what I've seen about it so far is he said that Israel is supportive of it, but this is the key. He says if Hamas doesn't accept it, if Palestine doesn't accept it, then he's willing and ready to back up Israel so they can finish the job. Let's run the meeting, or at least the part that was public here at the White House, and we'll analyze this as we take it in together.
Thank you very much, everybody. So this is a big, big day, a beautiful day, potentially one of the great days ever in civilization. Things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years. We're going to, at least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us, with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East. So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East. And let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. So this is far more than anybody expected, but the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible, incredible. Every single one of them. This afternoon, after extensive consultation with our friends and partners throughout the region, I'm formally releasing our principles for peace, which people have really liked, I must say. And these are done not just routinely done, these are done with total consideration and working with the nations that we're talking about. All of these nations have made contributions to those suggestions. I want to thank the leaders of many Arab and Muslim nations for their tremendous support in developing the proposal, along with many of our allies in Europe. Europe has been very much involved, and as I was called by many of the European leaders, most of them saying, is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? This is the most incredible thing we've heard. Some think it's the biggest thing they've ever heard. They called just to find out, was it just a rumor or is it actually done? And then they said, have you spoken to the Arab leaders? Have you spoken to all of the other leaders that we have to get? A lot of people involved in this one. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region. And I want to just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries. Saudi Arabia, as an example, the king is a phenomenal person. The Emir of Qatar, he's an incredible people. UAE, and that's MBZ and ABZ. We're totally involved. These are the people that we've been dealing with and who've been actually very much involved in this negotiation, giving us ideas, things they can live with, things they can't live with. Pretty complex. I mean, after 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever it is, I guess it's got to be a little complex, or it would have been done a long time ago. The King of Jordan was with us, as you know, in the United Nations. The President of Turkey, President Erdogan, is a friend of mine, a strong man, but a good man. President of Indonesia, somebody who's an amazing leader, Prabowo. He is an amazing leader and respected by everybody. He was in the room with us. We were together with most of these people that I'm mentioning. Others were by phone or the next day. The Prime Minister and the Field Marshal of Pakistan, they were with us right from the beginning. Incredible. In fact, they just put out a statement that they fully believe in this pact. It just came out just as I was walking around. They said, sir, you have a big notice from the Prime Minister of Pakistan and from the Field Marshal that they back this 100%. President El-Sisi of Egypt, who's terrific. And these are people I've gotten to know over the years. I mean, I would say it started around 2015 and then went into 2016 when the presidency officially began. But I've known him actually for a long time, and there are many cases really great men. I can't say in all cases, but I will tell you in many cases they're great men and some great women too. They tend to be mostly men, however, I will say that. But if accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back, and I hate even saying this from the standpoint, doesn't sound right, but it is so important to the parents. The bodies of the young men, I believe in almost all cases, the young men are coming back immediately. I met with parents. The parents felt as strongly about getting the body of their dead boy back as they did as though the boy were alive and well. It's so important to them. And it means the immediate end to the war itself, not just Gaza. It's the war itself. Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing. And destroy all terror infrastructure, including the tunnels, weapons of production facilities. They have a lot of production facilities that we're destroying. They'll also help train local police forces in the areas that we're discussing right now, in particular in and around Gaza, working with the new transitional authority in Gaza. All parties will agree on a timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw in phases. They'll be withdrawing in phases. No more shooting, hopefully. As progress is made toward achieving these goals, Arab and Muslim nations need to be allowed the chance to fulfill these commitments of dealing with Hamas. They have to deal with them because they were the one group that we have not dealt with. I haven't dealt with them. But the Arab countries are going to, and Muslim countries are going to be dealing with Hamas, and I believe they've already been there. I think they probably have an understanding, and they haven't maybe mentioned that, but I would imagine they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone as far as they've gone. If they're unable to do so, then Israel would have the absolute right and actually our full backing, the U.S. full backing. Marco's here, and a lot of our leaders are here, our great Vice President, Susie Wiles, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They've been so involved in this process. I don't think anybody else could have done it or even come close, but it's we're right there. We're right there. First time in thousands of years, I think you can probably say, if you really look into it, if you study back, if you're a scholar, you would say thousands of years. Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do. Everyone understands that the ultimate result must be the elimination of any danger posed in the region, and that danger is caused by Hamas. The tyranny of terror has to end, and this is, again, something that we're looking for. This is eternity. This is for forever. To ensure the success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace, we call it, the Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be headed, not at my request, believe me, I'm very busy, but we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world and Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it would be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want, is some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it, and we'll do it right, and we're going to put leaders from other countries on, and leaders that are very distinguished leaders, and we'll have a board, and one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, good man, very good man, and some others. And they'll be named over the next few days. And it'll be quite the board. Working, everybody wants to be on it now. I don't know if that had anything to do. They named me and everybody else wanted to be on it. I guess they figure, well, he's a soft touch. He'll be easy to deal with. Working with the World Bank and others, it will be responsible for recruiting and training a new government that will be made up of Palestinians, along with highly qualified experts from all around the world. Hamas and other terrorist factions will play no role in the board, but they'll play no role in the governance of Gaza at all, directly or indirectly. As you know, thousands of Hamas leaders have been killed and soldiers have been killed. And we can never forget October 7th, but thousands have paid the price for that. And now it's time to get our hostages back and get back to trying to build something that's really great and very important. In our meeting today, Prime Minister Netanyahu was very clear about his opposition to a Palestinian state. And he continuously mentions October 7th, and I understand that. Most people do. And I understand and respect his position on many things, but what he's doing today is so good for Israel. I notice that they have large crowds gathering in Israel all the time, and they have my name up. They like me for whatever reason, Bibi, I don't know, but they do like me. But they say two things. Please get the hostages back and please end the war. They've had it. It's had it. So I think it's a very popular thing you do, because he's a warrior. He doesn't know about getting back to a normal way of life, but he is a warrior, and Israel's lucky to have him. But now the people want to get back to peace. They want to get back to normalization in a true sense. Several countries have foolishly recognized the Palestinian state as you know, some of our European friends, allies, good people, but they're really, I think, doing that because they're very tired of what's going on for so many decades. They've been presidents and prime ministers for years, and during this time, having to do with the Middle East, all they're doing is talking about the same thing over and over. They want to see it get back. And nobody wants that more than me, or I believe Bibi too. But the people of Israel want it. They really want it. They want the hostages back. That includes the probably 32 bodies that we're talking about, 20 people that are living, 32 or so people that are dead, and they want to have peace. So let us not forget how we got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago, they withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work out. That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace. They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me. As a real estate person, I mean, they gave up the ocean, right? Ron, they gave up the ocean. They said, who would do this deal? And it still didn't work out. They were very generous, actually. And they gave up the most magnificent piece of land in many ways in the Middle East. And they said, all we want to do now is have peace. And that request was not honored. Instead of building a better life for the Palestinians, Hamas diverted resources to build over 400 miles of tunnels and terror infrastructure, rocket production facilities, and hid their military command posts and launch sites in hospitals, schools, and mosques. So if you went after them, you'd be after them, and you wouldn't even realize you ended up knocking out a hospital or school or a mosque. That terrible thing, terrible, terrible way to have to fight. No fight is good, but that's a real bad one. So there are many Palestinians who wish to live in peace. Many, many. I've seen so many of them. And they have support. And I challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny, fully condemn and prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority does not complete the reforms that I laid out in my vision for peace in 2020, they'll have only themselves to blame. We're giving them an amazing footprint, and they have amazing support from the leaders of the Arab world and the Muslim world, the great leaders. These are great leaders. These are unbelievable leaders that have built great countries and very wealthy countries. What the future holds for the Palestinians, no one really knows, but the plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back. Hard to believe when you even say it, and creating conditions for durable Israeli security and Palestinian success. Israeli security is going to be involved. We're going to help you. We'll be there with you in terms of helping with security. We want to make sure it works. We just want to make sure it works. There shouldn't be a shot fired. Now, there will be, I guess, because that's the way it seems to be, but there shouldn't have to be within a few days. There shouldn't have to be a shot fired. And maybe for eternity. Wouldn't that be nice? I hope it's true. I can tell you the leadership of that region feels that there's a good chance of it being true. So this will lead to this agreement that we're talking about will lead to a sustainable long-term peace. No president in history has been a greater friend of the state of Israel than I have, in addition to negotiating the Abraham Accords. I like to say it that way because the real people, that's what they call Abraham. I would say Abraham, but it's so much nicer when you say Abraham. So much more elegant. But the Abraham Accords, they're amazing. Jared, you did that along with your group of geniuses, and nobody thought that could be done. We have 4 countries, and Sleepy Joe Biden didn't do a thing. He didn't even know what the hell they were. He should have had them full up. But I think this will also lead to packing them. And who knows, maybe even Iran can get in there. I hope, we hope we're going to be able to get along with Iran. I think going to be open to it. I really believe that. But they could be a member. I long ago said, I'll bet you at some point Iran will be a member of the Accords, and little did I realize it was going to take this turn. That was some turn we did with the B-2s. But I think they might very well be there because it's a great thing for them economically. I recognize the eternal capital of Israel. I opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. That was something that everyone said would never be done, could never be done. Virtually every president for many, many years, for decades, would campaign on making Jerusalem the capital of Israel. They campaigned on it over and over. Is that right, Steve? Is that right? Everyone, and when they got to it, and I understand why now, because it was so. When I got to office, I campaigned on it too. I said, we're going to make it. And then I'd get calls from the leaders of various countries saying, please don't do it, please don't do it. It'll end the whole world, please don't do it. And finally, I just didn't say anything, and I did it. People were calling me before I did it because I heard I was going to do it, and leaders of countries were calling me, and I think it was on a Thursday that I did it, and they'd call me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3-4 times a day, and I said, tell them I'll call them back on Friday. And I announced it on Thursday, and I called them back, the biggest people in the world, and they said, you've done it. I said, done what? You've made the capital of Israel, Jerusalem, and we wanted to talk yet. I wish you called me a little sooner. Maybe I could have done something about it. So that was a lot easier than getting into an argument, because I knew what they were calling about. And you know what? It turned out to be amazing. Everybody thought it was going to lead to the end of the world, right? The end of the world, Ron, that's what they said. It didn't lead to anything. It just led to something that I promised, and something that was very, very popular for Jewish people and a lot of other people, too. I recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and I cut taxpayer funding to the corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency. And United Nations was interesting because, as you know, a few days ago they introduced me. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. I'm looking at my teleprompter, and the thing was dead, stone cold, dead. The thing's up here. I have a long, beautiful speech to make. I'm back 30 feet back, and I'm saying, they're introducing me. There's nothing on my teleprompter. So, but I made a speech. I actually got good marks. You think Biden could have done that? I don't think so. I don't think he could have done that. I don't think too many people could have done it. But actually, it was actually more of a speech from my heart, if you want to know the truth. I think it was maybe better in certain ways because it was from the heart. It has to be from the heart. Otherwise, you're in big trouble. But I cut taxpayer funding for that very corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency, and nobody thought that would be done, and withdrew from the horrible Iran nuclear deal that was imposed upon Israel by Barack Hussein Obama and Biden. And I don't think Biden knew anything about it, though. I don't think he knows anything about it now, actually, if you ask him. He'd say, what is that? And we obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity, making it impossible for them to have a nuclear weapon, which they would have had probably in about 2 months from that. But I've never asked Israel to compromise its security, but we had big, strong talk. Nobody's been better to Israel. No president's been better to Israel than Donald Trump. But we had a long, strong talk, Bibi and I, and he understands it's time. It's time. History has shown. And the people of Israel want it. And the people of the Middle East want it. The people of enemies of Israel want it. But they don't have really too many enemies right now. And you know what? Many countries have gained great respect for Israel, for the way they fight, for the job they do, including me. I had respect anyway, but they gained respect. History has shown us that those who have relations with Israel have thrived, while those who have devoted resources and attention toward the...
Honestly, it didn't look like they had generated more respect when all those countries walked out of the UN the other day. I don't think that's accurate at all, but hey, spin the narrative.
Destruction and even annihilation of Israel have languished. They haven't done well. Israel is not going anywhere. They're going to coexist with other people and countries in the region, from Syria to Lebanon to Saudi Arabia. The promise of a new Middle East is so clearly within our reach. This is the closest we've ever come to real peace, not fake peace, not political fool's peace. If we can get this difficult problem solved, the opportunities for all within that vast region of this world, it's a vast region, it's unlimited. The Abraham Accords show that all countries are better off when they communicate and work together and embrace new opportunities. I hope Jared and Steve and Susie and Marco and JD, we have great people. I hope you guys are going to work very hard to get these other countries in, because now they have no excuse. There's no longer an excuse. They were somewhere hesitant. And I tell you, the 4 countries that went in, I give them tremendous credit, and it's worked out incredibly well for them. In the same spirit, I'm pleased to report that earlier today we took another important step toward greater understanding in the region. A short time ago, we had a historic phone call in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Tani, who's really a great person. So we had a great talk, and I was on the phone, and Bibi was talking. Prime Minister Al-Thani was of Qatar. They really had a heart-to-heart conversation. It was a great conversation, I thought. It was productive. It was everything that you need to have something turn out to be successful. And I want to thank Bibi, and I want to thank the Prime Minister. It was fantastic. We agreed to launch a formal trilateral mechanism between Israel, Qatar, and the United States to begin a dialogue to enhance mutual security, correct misperceptions, and avoid future misgivings. And I want to thank Qatar, its leadership, and the Emir. He's a fantastic person. I think, I'm going to be his public relations man because I know him differently than a lot of people know him. But he wants peace. He wants to see peace. And its people, and they really acknowledge the critical role that they've played as mediator. And again, we're not quite finished. We have to get Hamas, but I think they're going to be able to do that. So now it's time for Hamas to accept the terms of the plan that we've put forward today. And again, this is a different Hamas than we were dealing with, because I guess over 20,000 have been killed. Their leadership has been killed 3 times over. So you're really dealing with different people than we've been dealing with over the last 4 years, 5 years. Everyone has done their part and come to the table in good faith. Our Arab and Muslim partners are fully prepared to step up and fulfill their commitments for the benefit of the people of Gaza and the entire region. They're willing to step up and do a lot. They really are. There are a lot of good people involved. Everybody who wants to see an end to the violence and destruction should be united in calling for Hamas to accept the extremely fair proposal so that we can end the war and get us back our hostages right now and have everlasting peace. And I look forward to having relationships with everyone. As the chairman of the board, I'll be involved, and we'll have meetings with some very smart people that'll be working over there to make sure that we haven't just been wasting time with an agreement that doesn't get done. The task of building peace will not be easy. There are some of the hardest problems in the world to solve, and that's why it's been going on for so many centuries. But too many lives are at stake not to try, and this was more than a try. I mean, I think this is something that gets done when you have virtually every country, and these are powerful, powerful countries that have a lot of money, and the money can make things happen. A lot of countries try, and they don't have any money. These are very rich countries that can make things happen. So together we'll forge a much safer and more hopeful future for everybody, including Israel. And I want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for his partnership. And I want to thank all of the leaders, the kings and the emirs and the presidents and prime ministers, people I mentioned. And they've been absolutely fantastic to work with. And it's just happened very quickly. It's happened from a couple of weeks before I had a couple of meetings, but a couple of weeks before We went to the United Nations, and we had some incredible meetings. It all came to place. It all took place, and everybody wanted to be a part of it. I don't have anybody that's saying we don't want anything to do with it. It's just the opposite. And I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, a year ago, I don't think we would have had this kind of participation, Mr. VP, right? I don't think we would have had. It's been amazing. The participation was 100%. Everybody wants to be a part of it. And everybody, those very strong countries, everybody wants it to work. So, Bibi, congratulations on this. I think this will be your crowning achievement, frankly. If this all works out, we think it will. It's going to be your crowning achievement. And I want to thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Please.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, first I want to thank you for graciously hosting me once again in the White House. And second, I want to thank you for your friendship and for your leadership. From Jerusalem to Tehran, from the Golan Heights to Gaza, you've proven time and again what I've said many times. You are the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And Mr. President, you and I both know it's not even close. While you focus at home on making America great again, your leadership abroad is changing the world for the better, ending wars and advancing peace. I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East. And I think beyond the Middle East, in very important Muslim countries. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. We would not have achieved this turning point without the courage and sacrifice of our incredibly brave soldiers. They fight like lions to defend the people of Israel, and they serve on the front line in the war between civilization and barbarism. Mr. President, when our two countries stand shoulder to shoulder, we achieve the impossible. Just a few months ago, in Operation Rising Lion and Operation Midnight Hammer, we struck a decisive blow against Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. Your bold decision to send those B-2s made the region safer and the world safer. Now, under your leadership, we're taking the next step to win the war and expand the peace. Your plan is consistent with the 5 principles my government set for the end of the war and the day after Hamas. Everybody asks, what is your plan for the day after Hamas? Here's our plan. Passed it in the cabinet. All our hostages, both those who are alive and those who died, all of them will return home immediately. Hamas will be disarmed. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will retain security responsibility, including a security perimeter for the foreseeable future. And lastly, Gaza will have a peaceful civilian administration that is run neither by Hamas nor by the Palestinian Authority. If Hamas agrees to your plan, Mr. President, the first step will be a modest withdrawal, followed by the release of all our hostages within 72 hours. The next step will be the establishment of an international body charged with fully disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. I appreciate your willingness to lead the body, Mr. President. I really appreciate it because you have a lot of things to do, and this is important. And it reflects the confidence that this will give everyone that things will be followed up on all the commitments made. The fact that you're taking this on, I think, helps a lot to make sure that everything flows in the direction that we want. Now, if this international body succeeds, we will have permanently ended the war. Israel will conduct further withdrawals linked to the extent of disarmament and demilitarization, but will remain in the security perimeter for the foreseeable future. I think we should understand that we're giving everybody a chance to have this done peacefully, something that will achieve all our war objectives without any further bloodshed. But if Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way, but it will be done. We prefer the easy way, but it has to be done. All these goals must be achieved because we didn't fight this horrible fight, sacrifice the finest of our young men to have Hamas stay in Gaza and threaten us again and again and again with these horrific massacres. Mr. President, I was encouraged by your clear statement at the UN against the recognition of a Palestinian state. That would be an outcome that, after October 7th, would reward terrorism, undermine security, and endanger Israel's very existence. As for the Palestinian Authority, I appreciate your firm position that the PA could have no role whatsoever in Gaza without undergoing a radical and genuine transformation. In your 2020 peace plan, which you mentioned just now, you made clear what that transformation requires. It's not lip service. It's not checking a box. It's a fundamental, genuine, and enduring transformation. And that means ending pay to slay, changing the poisonous textbooks that teach hatred to Jews, to Palestinian children, stopping incitement in the media, ending lawfare against Israel at the ICC, the ICJ, recognizing the Jewish state, and many, many other reforms. It won't come as a surprise to you that the vast majority of Israelis have no faith that the PA Leopard will change its spots. But rather than wait for this miraculous transformation, your plan provides a practical and realistic path forward for Gaza in the coming years, in which Gaza will be administered neither by Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority, but by those committed to a genuine peace with Israel. I think this can be not only a new beginning for Gaza, I think it can be a new beginning for the entire region. Under your leadership, we can re-energize, well, I've got to contribute my own, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords. That's what it's called in the original Hebrew, Abraham. Abraham is fine, Abraham, however you want to call it. Under your leadership, Mr. President, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords that we forged 5 years ago. We can expand them to many more Arab and Muslim nations that choose moderation over extremism. I think there's an opportunity here. It's not going to be easy, it's tough going, but I think if we succeed, you're absolutely right. We're going to open possibilities that nobody even dreamed of. But I think we dream of them. As you've told me, Mr. President, and you've told the world many, many times, you said, remember October 7th. Remember October 7th. And we do. We will never forget the horrors of October 7th, and we will do whatever is necessary to make sure they don't happen again. Since October 7th, Israel's enemies have learned a hard truth. Those who attack us pay a heavy price, but those who partner with us advance progress and security for their peoples. President Trump just said it. It's also in the Bible. It says, those who will bless you will be blessed, and those who will curse you will be cursed. And that's actually what is happening. We want the blessings. I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years to end the curse. We're not finished, but we've done a lot. And we've done a lot together to end the curse. I want to thank your entire team for their efforts to get to this point. I especially want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for their indefatigable work to bring Israel and Arab states in the region closer together. I am deeply grateful to both of them for their work. We had a phone call today just to make it clear. I said to the Prime Minister of Qatar, Israel was targeting terrorists, wasn't targeting Qatar. And of course, we regretted the loss of the Qatari citizen, wasn't our target. And I very much appreciate President Trump's proposal to have a trilateral body, the United States, Israel, and Qatar, to work out respective grievances. There are quite a few. But if we could try to mitigate them or put it on a different footing, I think that'll be good for everyone. Above all the people, the fine team, the many helpers who've done this, I want to thank you, Mr. President. History has already shown that under your leadership, Israel and America can change the face of the Middle East. And today I'm hopeful that your plan to end the war in Gaza will do so again and do so soon. It will free our hostages, end Hamas's tyranny in Gaza, and enable a more secure and prosperous future for the peoples of our region. Thank you, Mr. President. May God bless America. May God bless Israel. May God bless the indispensable alliance between our countries. And may I add in Hebrew, may we all be inscribed in the book of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bibi. So I think while we wait for these documents to be signed and get everybody in line, I think it maybe is not really appropriate to take questions. I'm meeting with, as you know, a couple of Democrats in a little while about the country, about keeping our country open. They're going to have to do some things because their ideas are not very good ones. They're very bad for our country. So we'll see how that works out. But this is something that was really historic today. This was something that was amazing. I think, Bibi, I mean, depending on you, I think while we're waiting for signatures and waiting for approvals from a lot of different countries that are involved in this, we probably shouldn't take questions? Or would you like to take a question or two from perhaps a friendly Israeli reporter, if there's such a thing?
That's a very, very tough proposition. But I would think, Mr. President, that I would go by your instinct that this is, we'll have enough time for questions. Let's settle the issue first, I think. No.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
No questions taken. Big handshake at the end, photo op. Trump calling it a historic occasion. Will it take hold? Is this going to work? It leaves the door open for a Palestinian state, but does not create one. It essentially just gives control of Gaza to Israel. Hamas has to go. It basically gives Israel everything it wants, and then you get peace. So I don't know if this is going to work. We do know tonight that Hamas has been given this 20-point proposal from the White House So far, I'm not seeing any response. So the plan proposes this immediate end to military operations, with Hamas releasing 20 living Israeli hostages and the remains of more than 24 hostages who are believed to be dead within 72 hours in exchange for hundreds of detained Gazans. And it demands that Hamas will have no role in governing Gaza and leaves the door open, as I say, to an eventual Palestinian state. And it is the subject of discussion on a lot of live streams all over the place tonight. So the hot political topic of the day. That's why I ran the entire news conference. I didn't want anything taken out of context. Give you guys the full picture, as we often do here, so you can make your own assessment so that it's accurate. Almost uninterrupted. I stopped there at one point to just comment on Trump saying that Israel has a lot of support internationally, but it certainly did not appear that way at the UN the other day. I think that lack of support, or I should say the eroding support, and that erosion showing during Netanyahu's address to the UN, I think that's maybe one of the things that brought Netanyahu over into the White House today to make this announcement on this proposed peace plan. And just as importantly, at this point anyway, it also resulted in that apology to Qatar from Netanyahu for attacking the leadership of Hamas inside Qatarian sovereign space. And they kind of missed the target to a degree, killing a citizen. Apologizing, say it wasn't our target, but they did. So all of those things going on today, the troop buildup, the show of force, the big meeting coming up tomorrow with the military leadership from all over the world coming back to Washington for this big meeting tomorrow. You have Russia ramping up its draft again. We have those air tankers off to Europe. We have the other day Trump saying that he thinks it's okay for NATO to shoot down Russian jets if they enter any NATO airspace. He says, yeah, they should shoot them down. We see the 180-degree turn on attitude from Trump toward Ukraine, although it's really about selling arms. He's an arms dealer. I don't know if that even warrants or justifies the United States having any kind of direct voice in the negotiations at that point between Ukraine and Russia. All of these things making me very nervous, as I think it probably has a lot of people nervous, maybe you too, because I think what we're looking at is a buildup toward a third world kinetic war, taking this fifth generation war to a whole new level. Yeah, I've been saying it for a long time. I think we're in an actual third world war right now. What do you think? Let me know in the chat. I'll take a look in there when we come back on the other side. Stay with me.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate. at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow, maybe too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, just taking a look over in the chat. What do you guys think? Some comments in there about the news conference, Netanyahu and Trump. Stoic teachers saying, shake hands with the devil. Yeah. These three criminals want a Palestine-free Riviera. Yeah, that's one of the strangest things I've ever seen. Not just him saying that he wants to turn Gaza into a resort. He seems to mean it. And then there was that AI-generated video of him and Netanyahu sitting there and like in vacation mode, sipping drinks with umbrellas in them in the new resort that he was going to build in Gaza. It's just so gross. Wealthy people's resort for the elite, says Cindy. What else do we have going on in here? ProImmune says this is an example of pure evil. They're gaslighting beyond belief. I don't see how this is going to work myself. I think you're maybe on the money there, ProImmune, because I just don't see Hamas saying, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. And then the ultimatum, if you don't accept this, we're going to go in and finish the job. To me personally, that's the key right there. And Trump said that he was going to back that up. So, because I've headlines on that too. This feels like a setup for that. It's like, well, here's a peace deal, take it or leave it. And if you leave it, we're going to go in there and level the place. And we're going to finish the job. Those are the words that have me most concerned. So pray that it works. But I didn't really personally hear anything in there that I think would appeal to the Hamas or even Palestinian Authority side. And it certainly doesn't establish Palestine as a state. It doesn't give them really any true authority or ability for self-determination, any real sovereignty, because they're basically ruled by Israel. And the statements that came out from the UK leaders, including Carney and Stair the other day, last week, saying they recognize, and Australia as well, saying they recognize Palestine as a state. It felt very empty because those are words. You need to be able to back those up. So I don't know what they think they've achieved. If they think they've actually accomplished something there, I think that they should maybe shake their heads, because it might appease part of their base of support in their own countries, but I don't think it really achieves anything, except it complicates things for their own countries geopolitically, vis-a-vis relationships with Israel, and most importantly for Canada and the UK, but especially Canada, the United States. Cindy says they know it won't work. Lindy Big says ultimatum. Yeah, I think that's a more accurate term myself after hearing all of that tonight. Cindy says, so evil, ultimatum. Yeah. Isn't it already leveled, says Be Lovely? Yeah, I think pretty much it is. Yeah. Gaza's already leveled. Yeah. So, yeah, no, there's no way for me to win, even talking about this stuff, because no matter what I say, people on both sides just get upset, and they accuse, well, me and maybe you too, of taking a particular side in this, and maybe you do, maybe you don't. Everybody has a different view on it, I guess. I'm I'm not on either side. I would really like the thing to come to an end, but I'm not naive. And I recognize that it's likely to continue. And when this fails, just like everything else we've talked about with regard to World War III, I think this will also bring us another step closer, potentially, to a kinetic third world war. Hang on. I'll be right back.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Who here wants digital IDs and state surveillance? Nobody, I suspect. Yet that's what we're getting, whether you want it or not. Certainly we're getting it online. We're getting it in a lot of different ways, and we're going to get it through more cameras if Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, has his way. Wants to introduce surveillance cameras in Ontario communities to catch suspects in home invasions and car thefts. Premier Doug Ford says here in the CTV article, says he's looking to expand the use of surveillance cameras in municipalities across the province to help catch suspects in car thefts and home invasions. But he is providing few details about exactly how such an initiative would work. He made the comments at an unrelated transit news conference in Hamilton this morning. Let's just play.
Premier Doug Ford says that his government is looking into the possibility of expanding the use of cameras to flag stolen vehicles and catch criminals, but only in municipalities that want them.
We'll put it out there, and anyone who wants it. They're relatively, I'm just getting the figures off Mayor Del Duca yesterday. They're about 15,000, but the technology is like you can pick up any cars that are stolen. And anyone that's doing a break and enter, they have to exit one area within a community. But again, that's up to the community. If you want it, I think it's very beneficial. If you don't, that's fine. I know the community in our community, they want them. Okay. They want them like yesterday.
Yeah. Sorry, feed got cut again. I do apologize, but we're back live again. Everything just cut off again. Very weird. So Premier Ford saying everybody wants them. Around here, we're getting them, and people are putting them up themselves. It's a response to that homeless encampment, the tent city that I've shown here on the program. And there are cameras on houses all over the place. And then what they've done is they're networking them into a surveillance system where the cameras mounted on homes go to the police service where they're monitored. So the entire neighborhood is basically all wired up, and people have done it themselves to put themselves under surveillance. I never thought I'd see that, but there it is, for better or for worse. I hope our constitutional freedoms are being protected, and people are thinking about that as part of this. So we'll see where this goes with the Premier in Ontario. Says people wanted it like yesterday. Yeah, some people do. And in some ways, they can be a good thing because you're catching criminals. This is a response really to all the, stories and concerns and the rising crime rate, the car thefts and the assaults. And yeah, so people want something done. It's the fear. It's the fear in this neighborhood that is driving all of it. I don't have, whatever. People have had, some things stolen out of their cars and stuff like that. So, of course, they're blaming the homeless encampment, and I'm sure that that's part of it, that definitely, and they've had some problems, some problems over in that area. Not like horrific crimes. I'm talking about some theft, things of that nature. So, things to be concerned about. We'll be talking about that more, just not tonight. Okay, so what else do we have going on? Oh, yeah. Charlie Kirk. The story is beginning to fade away a little bit, but it is still a very weird story. A lot of holes, I would say, in the official investigation as a result of that, which I think it's been handled in a very sloppy manner. And that has just left it wide open to all kinds of speculation and analyzed videos and maybe doctored videos. I don't know anymore. It's predictably created chaos so that you really can't get anywhere near the truth as a result. But it's also driving wedges of conflict within the MAGA movement. You're on Truth Social, Mark Levin posting, the real REAL, all caps, Charlie Kirk. We will not, all caps, allow the bigots to hijack his beliefs. And I understand his upcoming book will further underscore his love and respect for the Jewish faith. Judaism and Christianity are linked together and forever. Our nation was founded on Judeo-Christian values and beliefs. Nothing will ever come between us, try as evil demagogues might. Here's a New York Post post on social media that Mark Levin is making reference to. Let's go over and take a look at that. For this stuff, it absolutely comes down to the Jewish question and Jewish versus Palestine, and all the things about that. Okay, bring this one up. There we go. What's the post saying? Charlie Kirk wrote, can I get rid of these ads? Is it going to take me to the ad? Charlie Kirk, yep, it's going to take me to the stupid ad. I didn't want to go there. Wanted to get rid of the ad. Charlie Kirk wrote of his deep love for Israel and letter to Netanyahu about how to counter rising opposition to the Jewish state in the U.S. And I'm seeing so many live streamers taking the opposite position, the completely opposite position.
That the bigger the Nazi propaganda minister said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder. This is insane. It is false. It is outrageous. Charlie Kirk was a giant, a once-in-a-century talent who defended freedom, defended America, defended our common Judeo-Christian civilization. Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. He encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security. He told me, the Holy Land is so important to my life, it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Now, if Charlie disagreed with a policy of mine or a decision here and there, not only did I not mind, I welcomed it. This is the essence of Charlie. This is the essence of a free country. It's exactly what Charlie stood for. And I knew that his suggestions always came from the heart, from his love for Israel and from his love for the Jewish people. A few weeks before his death, I spoke to Charlie. I invited him to visit Israel again. And sadly, that won't happen. Now some are peddling these disgusting rumors, perhaps out of obsession, perhaps with Qatari funding. What I do know is this: Charlie Kirk was a great man, and a great man deserves honor, not lies. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. May your memory be a blessing.
So Mark Levin, obviously taking a particular position on this, says here in this article, assassinated conservative activist Charlie Kirk advised Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on how to counter anti-Israeli sentiment among Gen Z and win the information war being waged against the Jewish state, according to a letter obtained by the Post. So here's the letter, apparently. It says Kirk wrote to Netanyahu in the May 2nd missive that he was alarmed by Israel and anti-Semitic trends, hitting record levels. This is a quote, record levels on social media, since one of his, quote, greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews in the fight to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. Quote, my team and I have spent months analyzing these trends and debating ideas that could help you and your country push back against these disturbing developments, he said in the letter, reproduced in full below for the first time. Quote, anti-Israel sentiment can undermine American support for Israel. The purpose of this letter is to lay out our concerns and outline potential remedies. Everything written here is from a place of deep love for Israel and the Jewish people, added Kirk, who defended Israel when speaking on college campuses as part of his duties leading Turning Point USA, one of the nation's largest conservative youth organizations. Quote, I think it's important to be brutally honest with those you love. In my opinion, Israel is losing the information war and needs a communications intervention. That's an interesting turn of phrase. Netanyahu first mentioned the letter September 18th in a video address, 8 days after Kirk was shot and killed during an event at the Utah Valley University to dispute monstrous, in quotation marks, falsehoods that Israel was somehow behind the killing. Right-wing pundit Candace Owens and others have claimed that Kirk was being blackmailed into making firm defenses of Israel in public while questioning U.S. support for the Jewish state privately. Pershing Square Capital Management boss Bill Ackman later published private text messages disputing the characterization. In this letter, Kirk urged Netanyahu's team to stop subcontracting rhetorical defenses of Israel to American surrogates and pointed out that as TPUSA's main voice on American college campuses, he often felt like he was defending Israel in public more strenuously than the PM's office from accusations and questions, including, is Israel an apartheid state? Why does Israel conduct ethnic cleansing? Why is America subsidizing Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people? Is American aid helping to subsidize Israel's free health care? Israel and the Jews are running U.S. foreign policy. Israel and Jews are responsible for 9/11. Defending Israel is not in our U.S. national interest. Why is Israel trying to drag us into a war in the Middle East? Quote, I'm accused of being a paid apologist for Israel when I defend her. He goes on, Charlie Kirk does, saying, however, if I don't defend Israel strong enough, I'm accused of being anti-Semitic. I know you've got a seven-front war and my kvetching pales in comparison, but I'm trying to, can I see this, convey to you that Israel is losing support even in conservative circles. This should be a 5-alarm fire. When you don't push back anti-Semitism and anti-Israel propaganda, fill the void. A pro-Israel friend recently asked me, do Israelis even care how the world perceives their country? He goes on and says, also, these hostages and all your spokespersons should be arguing it's Hamas that is committing genocide on their own people by using civilians as human shields and storing weapons in schools, hospitals, etc. That information drips out in the regular media, but is almost non-existent in social media. Interview Jews, Israeli Arabs, Druze, Orthodox, secular, etc. Ask Israelis, what do they wish the world knew about Israel? He explained, ask them to respond to examples of misinformation on social media. This could be an entire social media PR campaign called, Dude, You Got Us Wrong! Exclamation point. Interview Israelis from all walks of life. Kirk also urged Netanyahu to do a better job explaining the threat of Iran getting nuclear weapons, since among, quote, many conservatives who support Israel, there is a concern that America could become entangled in a quagmire in Iran. Finally, he spurred the Israelis to cultivate more first-person social media voices from the younger generation defending the Jewish state. It goes on. Bring this up. If you want, this is on the New York Post website. I need to get our website back up, so I'm not going to be posting it there. Let me show you the letter if it will take hold on screen. Here it is. I'll bring it over to another tab so I can show you the complete letter. I'm not going to read the whole thing. We've pretty much done that already. Here it is. From the desk of Charlie Kirk. There it is. Seven pages. Just at the end of the letter, let's read the last portion here. The question is whether Israel has the willpower to step up its game in this information war. From my vantage point, the status quo is not working. Israel is getting, all caps, crushed on social media, and you are losing younger generations of Americans, even MAGA conservatives. In my opinion, you are losing the information war, which will eventually translate into less political and military support from America. The Holy Land is so important to my life, and it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Feel free to contact me on my private number below if you would like to discuss this further. This illustrates what I was even saying just yesterday about the shooter at the church. Nobody wants him, and each side wants to give him to the other side. So if you're on the MAGA side, you want to give him to the liberals, the Democrats. If you're on that side, you want to give him to the MAGA side. And in this case, everybody wants Charlie. The pro-Israel side wants him. The anti-Israel side wants him. Anti-Israel side, Palestinian side, however you want to view it, everybody wants Charlie. And they're trying to drive a wedge in between his legacy and the reality of whatever the reality is, and their opposing side. Well, that's what we see going on even here. That letter, if authentic, and I believe it probably is, goes a long way to support the pro-Israel argument, but then they just pull out a quote here or a quote there to seem to contradicts that in some way or seems to, and then you're off to the races. That's all you have to do. When you go to court, you're supposed to prove your case beyond a shadow of a doubt, at least in Canada. My God. It's a wonder anybody in this current environment ever even gets convicted. Speaking of shooters, we have Charlie Kirk's shooter. I believe he was back in court today. Let me take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get you, I think, what he said during his court appearance today. Stay with me. We'll be right back on the other side of this.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
the sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks. We are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's get Tyler Robinson up on the screen. It's court appearance, second. Judge today, I believe, saying that he's going to make all court appearances public. Here we go.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please be seated. Good morning. Court is now in session. Calling the case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Counsel, could you enter your appearances, please?
Chad Grunander, Jeff Gray, Lauren Hunt, Ryan McBride, and Chris Ballard for the state, Your Honor.
Good morning, counsels.
Good morning, Your Honor. Kathy Nestor, Michael Burt, and Richard Novak on behalf of Mr. Robinson.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
And to the jail. Do we have Mr. Robinson present?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Robinson, good morning to you as well. Counsel, as we begin, I have entered orders allowing the admittance of Mr. Michael Burt, Mr. Richard Novak, pro hoc vice, and appointing them along with Ms. Catherine Nestor to be Mr. Robinson's counsel. The court enters findings that the combined experience of counsel meets and exceeds the requirements of Rule 8. Counsel, do we have, what would we like to accomplish today?
I have two items, Judge. I just wanted to make a record that under Rule 16 of the Utah Rules of Criminal Procedure with respect to discovery, the state is required to provide to the defense within 5 days of the defense's request the discovery that we relied on in making this charging decision. We'll be prepared to do that, so we'll look for defense counsel's request or the next day or so, and we'll provide that to the defense.
Thank you.
We also, for the court's information, we met this morning with the defense team briefly in our office to talk about discovery and the process, so we'll be working together. There is a substantial amount of discovery in this case, Your Honor. It's voluminous, to say the least, and we're working on a process where we can exchange information as quickly as possible and be efficient in that process. The other item I had, Your Honor, I saw that over the weekend there was a protection order, pretrial, and trial publicity order entered by Your Honor. And I just was seeking some clarification. On page 2, at the end of the first paragraph, it reads, "To that end, lawyers participating in the investigation or litigation of this case shall inform all witnesses, investigators, consultants, staff members, or other members of the prosecution or defense teams that the prohibitions contained in this order." The state were seeking some clarification with respect to the phrase "all witnesses," Your Honor. there are a number of witnesses that have yet to be identified that will likely be used in the state's case. This occurred in front of 2,000 to 3,000 students at Utah Valley University. So we're in the process of identifying those witnesses. And so those individuals are presently unknown right now. So we're looking for a little clarification from the court. And I suppose we're not going to make any arguments today, but there may be some follow-up pleadings that we may need to file.
Thank you. Ms. Nestor, did you want to be heard about that issue?
No, Your Honor, we would defer to whatever the court wants to advise them on that matter. I mean, I think it's fairly obvious that we don't know who all the witnesses are in this case yet. I think it's just important that if anyone is identified, that they have information about this order. So I think other than that, we wouldn't weigh in on any other matter.
Thank you. Well, thank you for that question. That's an important one. The court will rule that as the witnesses become known to each side, that information is conveyed to abide by this order. Obviously, there are potentially many witnesses, and so it's not the expectation that you would be able to do that up front, but as they become known, I would ask that you would inform them of this. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing from the state, nothing else, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Nestor.
Thank you, Your Honor. We recognize that we are here today for a waiver hearing. It is not our intent to waive a preliminary hearing in this matter. We are going to be seeking that one be set. However, based largely on what the state just referred to as far as the voluminous nature of the discovery materials, we do think it would be prudent to simply reset for another conference, another waiver hearing, a little bit down the road, where we have a better idea once we start seeing the discovery as it rolls in. I do recognize we're going to be getting that first batch in 5 days, but it's my understanding from our meeting today that there is massive amounts of digital that is going to be coming, and until we can kind of get our heads around exactly what we're dealing with and how much we need to process, it's going to be difficult for us to give you a reasonable expectation of when we will be ready to do the prelims. So we're asking today that we put that decision off, and maybe we could check in 30 to 60 days and just kind of let the court know where we're at and how much we're looking at and how much time we may need to set a preliminary hearing. Also, as far as a detention hearing, we are not asking the court to address that issue at this time. Under the statute, the issue is going to come down to the question of whether there's substantial evidence, which right now we're just not in a position at all to be able to even argue to the court. So we are probably going to ask that the court delay that decision possibly until the time of the prelim. But if it's sooner, we will ask the court for a hearing. But at this time, we are not asking the court to make any decisions on that matter.
Thank you, counsel. In regards to the next hearing date, how about October 30th at 10 a.m.?
That works for the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
That's fine for the defense, Your Honor.
All right. Now, as we're at the beginning, anything further from counsel from either side?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
As we are at the beginning of this case, it is my intent to only speak when I'm needed or it is necessary. But today I do wish to provide guidance and expectations that you can have for this court and wish to enter an order as well. As this case moves forward, Mr. Robinson's constitutional rights will be protected at every stage. He sits before this court presumed innocent, and that presumption remains unless and until each element of every offense charged against him is proved beyond a reasonable doubt. At the same time, and as applicable, victims are entitled under our Constitution to be treated with fairness, respect, and dignity, free from harassment or abuse. Justice demands that both of these principles, the rights of the accused and the rights of victims, be honored without compromise. I remain steadfast in my oath that I made 56 days ago to support and defend the constitutions of the United States and of Utah. I will carry out my duties with fidelity, transparency, and impartiality, treating every person who appears before me with the dignity and respect they are inherently due because they are human beings. Let me be clear. I will not put my finger on the scale of justice. These proceedings will be open to the public, conducted in accordance with the law, and handled with diligence and competence to ensure that justice is never compromised. It is the standing order of this court that Mr. Robinson shall be allowed to appear in person so he can fully engage with his attorneys and participate in these legal proceedings. Counsel, regardless of who is watching, whether it is the nation or a single individual, we must fulfill our roles with integrity, civility, and diligence. I encourage each of you to give your very best to this case. Neither Mr. Robinson nor the people of Utah deserve anything less than the fair and impartial administration of justice. In regards to the next hearing, counsel, on that October 30th date at 10 a.m., it's the court's intent that be in person if it be the wish of counsel for the defense for Mr. Robinson to be present.
It is, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Counsel, anything else that we can address today?
Your Honor, we appreciate the court's comments with respect to Your Honor's role in this case. In like matter, we commit to approach this case with integrity, with professionalism and civility. We are truth seekers. We will aggressively pursue the truth in this case. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, counsel, unless there's anything else, thank you for being here. This court is in recess.
Thank you.
And that's the way that went down today. So October 30th is the next big date. We will, I don't know if we'll bring it to you live. Maybe we will. Maybe not. It depends. I'll assess and determine how significant that court appearance will be. It used to drive me crazy when I was working, in television stations, when there was an ongoing court case. If it was a significant case, every single court appearance would be highlighted, and you'd have to go down there and talk about a court appearance. But a lot of the time, it was just a brief appearance where they have to bring the body before the court. He was in court today, nothing happened, but we're telling you about it anyway. So I'll see. There may be something significant that comes out of it. If so, we will report on it here. The standoff, the conflict, the clashes in the streets continue in key cities like Chicago and, of course, Portland, where tonight we're seeing Department of Homeland Security snipers laser target Antifa members in some cases. We're told the rally there became pretty tense as an Antifa member threatens a supporter here in this video before DHS rooftop snipers placed laser sights right on his chest. Let's take a look at the video. There's lots of stuff out there to look at, talk about. This is just one.
Get the fuck out. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, I didn't do anything. Hey, get the fuck out. You get out of here. Don't try to hit me.
Get out of here.
Well, I have
get
no.
Get out of here. Don't come back.
Get away from me.
I see you again.
Get away from me, sir.
Dude, get the
Where are you? You're pushing me onto the road.
Get the fuck out of here.
Let me move. Let me get out. If you're gonna let me get out.
Fucking walk.
Hey, sir, stop it.
Fucking walk.
Stop.
Walk, motherfucker.
What are you doing? Why are you so mad? I didn't do anything.
You did.
What did I do?
Walk.
I haven't done anything.
Walk, motherfucker. Do not come back.
Watch out.
You come back, I'm gonna fucking smoke you, dude.
Really?
Yes, really. I'm
Why?
gonna smash that fucking camera.
Stop it. Stop. Sir,
Look at
stop
that,
it.
man. He's like,
Stop sticking your
they've
camera
got,
in
they've got the
face.
sights right now.
I have the right to be here.
Okay, did I say?
I have the right to be here.
Stop.
I have the right to film. You have DHS watching you right there.
Stop.
Lasered on you.
I
You have a
didn't do
sniper
nothing.
lasered on you right now.
I don't give a fuck.
Stop it.
Stop
You
sticking your camera in people's face.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
You have a sniper on you right now. You have a sniper on you right now.
Wow.
Get the fuck out.
I'm telling you, man, it's ready to pop off. All it's going to take is like a mistake. Just a mistake. A knee-jerk reaction, an impulse, one mistake. And then it ignites the whole thing. We should all be very fearful of that. It happens once, things go crazy. Now you have ICE agents, DHS sniper, whatever, shots fired, people killed, things escalate, chaos, and then it's just there. Then we're away to the races, aren't we? This is not, in my view, making things safer. There has to be a better way to dial things down, and it's not. I don't get the impression that either side wants to dial things down, including the government. They want to ramp it up, and we're seeing the cheerleading take place online. So that, I think, is part of all of this stuff that's potentially leading us into World War III, not to mention all the conflicting information that we're seeing online regarding everything political and criminal in nature, including the Charlie Kirk assassination. I mean, here, like, this stuff here is off the charts, clickbaity, but generating gazillions of views. Candace Owens says Tyler Robinson's parents do not believe he shot Charlie Kirk. She alleges that the family friend who encouraged Tyler to turn himself in actually confronted the family first. Candace also says Tyler has never stepped foot on UVU campus. What? Oh my. Like I said, it's amazing anyone is even convicted of anything anymore, because if all you have to do is cast doubt so that someone is not convicted, look at all the ammunition you have online to contradict the official FBI investigation. And what a mess that was from the very beginning, arresting people improperly. If I were Tyler Robinson's lawyer, I would be bringing all of that stuff up. Look, they thought it was this person. They thought it was that person. This person has this information. Look at this video. If that doesn't cast some doubt on it, just enough. It just takes enough doubt to acquit. Stay with me.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I have seen posts online, about the ostrich farm all day, of course, because it's, as I've said, it's just a full-scale, turbocharged information warfare campaign out of that farm and beyond on social media, with all the people on one side, on this, the Team Ostrich, and all the regulars are in there. Of course, me being a maverick, I'm inclined to just do my own thing. So here I am, universally hated. Not true. I have a couple of people who still like me, one or two. I think my mom's okay with me. I got to call her, actually. But when it comes to the ostriches, I have seen references to trade restrictions because of bird flu. And that's because, and I just took note of this just a short time before we came on the air tonight. On the air, that's old-fashioned. That's broadcast talk. On the air, you're on in the digital universe. No air to be had. Well, except satellite feeds. Sorry. Because the United States Department of Agriculture has updated its restrictions on Canadian agricultural exports, in particular poultry, due to the bird flu. So I'll bring this up because somebody was asking me about it, but I'm not hearing anybody talk about this. Nobody. This is one of the factors. This is one of the major factors in why the CFIA and the government, what they're using as justification for the cull and why they're doing it. This is just one of the things. It's major, and it's something that I think we need to take into consideration. So this was updated, this policy, or the restrictions. And this is on the American side, okay? So this is regarding trade, not tariff trade. This is restrictions on trade because of the presence of bird flu in particular zones where it's been detected. And that means that you can't trade in poultry, that you can't sell your poultry from those zones from Canada. You can export it into the United States, where there may be restrictions. So effective on this date, September 24th, updated. This is the most recent update. I wasn't aware that it had come down, so this is fresh to me 5 days ago. Animal Plant Health Inspection Service updating its list of zones in Canada that are subject to restrictions on the importation of certain avian commodities. The updated list of currently restricted zones is provided below. Importation into the United States of poultry, commercial birds, ratites, avian hatching eggs, unprocessed avian products and byproducts, and certain fresh poultry products originating from or transiting these zones is prohibited. You can't even take them through, right, to go someplace else. So if you wanted to sell birds like chickens or turkeys, or I would say ostriches potentially, if you want to take them to Mexico, you couldn't even drive them through the United States to get them to market in Mexico. So it effectively cuts off any exports from Canada, except maybe to other countries like Europe, but I know they're updating those restrictions as well. I have not checked to see what the restrictions are there currently. However, this zone right here, PCZ or Z 257 in British Columbia. There are some others. Those ones are already in place. They've added some new ones. APHIS imposed these restrictions due to the diagnosis of highly pathogenic avian influenza in domestic birds in Canada. Maps of the restricted zones are available on the Canadian Food Inspection Agency website. So there's a map. Now this is, keep in mind, this is the USDA, United States release on this information. So there are restrictions. And that zone right there, the top one, number one, PCZ 257 in BC. I didn't even know this until tonight. There it is. That's the map. Actually, that's not the exact one. That's PCZ FV6. That's one of the new ones. But I did check this, and that zone, PCZ 257, according to the research that I have done, I stand to be corrected if this is not correct, but this is what came back from my searches, It indicates that, oh, you guessed it. It includes that whole area, that region, that zone. It includes Edgewood. And the information that I got back was it is inside the primary control zone, PCZ 257, in fact. In fact. It's under restriction because the bird flu was detected at that farm. So the United States has put that whole zone under restriction for poultry export. That means there are restrictions on every poultry operation in that zone now. It's dealing with exports to the United States. And yet you have RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz sitting there saying, don't cull the birds. As long as those birds remain alive, at least for this period of time, there's nobody going to have a chicken farm there that will be able to export without restrictions to the USA. Now, that has not completely, I did further dig, and it has not completely devastated the poultry industry there yet. However, because of the restrictions on the exports, you're now dealing pretty much with these farmers selling primarily to local markets, local abattoirs, supermarket chains, things like that. Now, in that zone, because they're in a sort of a more isolated region, rural, you're not in big cities, you have primarily small family farm operations. The exact kinds of farms that they say they're trying to save. And because this has dragged on so long, do you know how long the restrictions have been in place? Since January, affecting every small family farm operation in that zone. Every single one. Now, those small family farm operations are not as dependent on exports to the United States as some larger operations might be, but as a result of all of these restrictions, again, I need to dig deeper to absolutely confirm this to make sure that I'm not misleading anyone. But it looks like they've seen a decline in gross revenue of around 20 to 30%. So that's a big hit, especially for a small family farm. That's the impact. It isn't just an issue of whether those birds are sick today or exhibiting, that they're sick. And I've seen even Rebel News report using the reports saying that they are asymptomatic, not symptomatic, asymptomatic, which means they're admitting they may be and infected, but not exhibiting symptoms, which is the entire, another layer to the whole discussion. These birds may not look like they're sick, and they may not even be sick, but they have been infected and may well be carriers. Even now, after all these months. We'll test them then. That's a whole additional argument again on top. Part of the discussion is that this is beyond the control of the government. Well, then it's the World Health Organization and World Organization of Animal Health, whatever. The reality is, if you want to export your product to customers in other countries, you have to meet their standards, whether it's uniform and across the board and standards adopted across countries, or whether you're dealing with countries on an individual basis, your customer in that country, you still have to meet their standards. And right now, tonight, in spite of all the pressure from these big MAGA influencers and billionaires even, Dr. Oz, RFK Jr., John Catsimatidis, the President Trump stopped the call. Well, what about the other chicken farmers who are sitting there waiting for this thing to get, for lack of a better phrase, and this may be the most accurate characterization, cleaned up, clean the mess up? So nobody's talking about that. And that's a valid part of the conversation. If you don't, but nobody wants to deal with it. Nobody wants to, people have lost their freaking minds out there. And that's because it's designed to do that. This whole information campaign they have going on out there, I've realized, especially today, that what they are doing is it's designed to confuse, not to inform. Let me see if I can. I think I lost the tab, but I did want to show you something. So let me take a little break. We're going to come back and I'm going to illustrate what I'm talking about. I think in a meaningful way.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
It's disheartening, concerning, makes me worry when I see a concerted effort to deceive, mislead, confuse people. Editorializing here. When I was young, I got into journalism specifically because I believed and saw journalism as one of the foundational pillars of a free democracy. This was stuff I was thinking about when I was like a teenager. Even before, in grade school, I started a school paper. I didn't plan on becoming a journalist like later, but all of these things, it just was a natural progression for me because of my interests and concerns and my love of even country, even at the time, although I didn't really realize how much I loved my country and how much these things meant to me at the time. But very important. That's why I became a journalist, ultimately, because I believed in journalism as a powerful tool to help us stay free as individuals in a democracy through the pursuit of truth through journalism. Dedicated to that. That's one of the reasons I take such exception to people who intentionally lie or act in irresponsible ways. And I can't say that I always get it right. And certainly through the pandemic, there were times when I was misled or tricked, maybe a little bit deceived by people, because this social media thing is all new and we've discussed a lot of that, but I'm seeing it like on steroids, turbocharged and nuclear powered right now out of that freaking farm. I find it, frankly, disgusting. Not because I have a particular agenda here. I didn't go into it that way. I don't have a all I've done is go and do my job, practice my craft in what I believe is a responsible way, and I'm just bringing information forward, and people are attacking me and us for that. Look at what went on in the chat tonight on the main Rumble channel. That's not an accident. A lot of the things that have been going on around here in the last week, not an accident. People who don't believe in free speech clearly don't believe in democracy. They're attacking what we're doing here because I'm doing my job as a journalist. Look at the people over on Twitch. Frack. The haters channel. Whatever. I do believe in free speech, but a lot of what's going on there, and it's not free speech. That's why that person got kicked out of Rumble. That's not free speech. And what's going on with a lot, not everything, but a lot of what's coming out of that farm right now, that's not free speech either. It certainly isn't an exercise. It is sort of an exercise in democracy, sort of. But it's really about politics with democracy taking a back seat because nobody's playing by the rules. I don't know about the government. I can't say for sure, but certainly the other side not playing by the rules at all. Clearly they haven't been for quite some time. Because not only are they not telling you everything, they're giving you selective information in order to spin up a narrative and even deceive you. A lot of them are just outright lying. And then there are other ones who are being used, I think, as useful idiots who are given information. And then through you remember through the grapevine effect, they're assisting in the efforts to confuse the hell out of us. The grapevine effect, you probably learned about it in school when you were younger. You whisper something into the person's ear next to you, and then they whisper the same message to the next person and the next person. And then when it comes all the way around the circle, then whatever the message was ends up being completely jumbled and totally wrong. Totally wrong. There's some of that going on out at the farm with the influencers and streamers who say they're telling you the truth. Don't listen to the other. Those people, they're lying. I watched some stuff today, man, and I was like, what the F are you even talking about? Information that I dug up myself, some of it, and then it's finding its way into these streams, these posts on Facebook that I found today. And I'm like, what the F are you talking about? They've taken this information and it's all twisted around and jumbled and it's turned around so that it means the opposite of what the reality is. I could not, it was just baking my brain. I'm going to show you. I shouldn't because it's a brain baker. And I think this stuff actually has taken us to a place as a community, as a society, certainly as a country, that's very dangerous. I'm going to show you. This lady, I don't know who she is. It's being shared by Sandra Van something or other. These are the gotta save the ostrich crowd. Okay, whatever, man.
Bodies, okay? At that point, okay, guys, huge breaking news from BC Ostrich Farm. I have news for you. Okay, so we all know the video that I posted yesterday that these ostriches had natural immunity to the H5N1 virus. So,
okay, first of all, even that is like, that's a claim, but they're not like naturally like whatever. That's just a claim. There's like no scientific studies to say that they are especially immune or that they're different than other ostriches. This is just a claim. 69 birds did die. And then there are just some other sub-claims made within the claims coming from the farm, but whatever. Okay, so we'll just let that roll. We'll let it slide for the moment, but taking that at face value, and I'm like, whatever.
So they had developed full-blown antibodies, okay? At that point, the farmers were then asked by our Canadian government to work with them and their partners to provide antigens and antibodies for the COVID testing and protective products. You can't make this up.
You just did. Because it's not really accurate. It's like there's a bit of truth in there, but it's like all jumbled up, and it's a like, what the F did she just say? The Canadian government did not ask the farm to produce anything at that point. She's trying to tell you about the COVID research that they were doing on their own in conjunction with the university in Japan, or the professor. And it's a very small, independent university over there in Japan. It's not like a big government run thing. It's a very, very small operation. As universities go, it's tiny. It's a school is what it is. And they do teach some university level courses. I've taken a look at it, not to take anything away from the place or even Dr. Tsukamoto. But anyway, the Canadian government didn't commission them to do anything. Not as far as anything I've seen where they actually involved, except that the only connection that I've found at that point between the government and that farm and the COVID research was that they were buying the antigen from a Canadian laboratory, but that lab was then later sold. Like, it did go through a change in ownership, and when the new owners came in, they looked at what the farm was doing and then made the decision that they were no longer going to supply them with the antigen. But that lab did issue a release through the Canadian government with regard to some of the work they had been doing on antibodies. And so that's when I went actually and tracked down the woman from the public relations department who had been involved in the news release. I actually spoke to the woman. I didn't use her name. I didn't make her go public at all, but I've got the record of it, and I did speak to her. And she was involved at the time, and she was with the PR company that put the media release out in conjunction with that company and the federal government. And the farm was involved in a peripheral way, but she said it was like a one-off thing, and then it changed ownership, and then that whole thing came to an end fairly abruptly. It looked like the new owners decided that what they were doing at the farm wasn't viable. That's when they had to pivot and find another source for the antigen. They started to import it directly, as I understand it, from Japan. And that's when they bought a whole stockpile of it. But that's another layer to the story. The point is, she's getting the details all wrong. And so it creates this false narrative, this false story where it's like the Canadian government commissioned it's not quite like that. It's not really accurate. They were doing a lot of the work out there. They were picking up this antigen, but they didn't have permits or anything else.
This man in this video that I just watched goes on to say that the outbreak in BC, Omicron, was the vaccinated and double vaccinated that were getting the variant. And then they realized, sorry, I left out one important fact. They realized that pharma's products, the Pfizer, all these shots that they wanted us to take weren't working. So he goes on to say that and you can take a view on that one way or the other,
but she's just making this, and she saw some guy's video, and so she's just repeating what she saw in a video. So it's the grapevine effect right there. This is not firsthand information.
They started testing the antibodies in their lab, okay? And when they did, the antibodies had a 98% neutralization against Omicron, okay? When this was discovered, Big Pharma comes in and they buy out the lab, shut down their testing under a non-disclosure.
She's talking about the Canadian lab. And again, she's not quite getting the information right. But this is also part of what the farm owners are attesting. And they're saying that the reason the lab in Canada stopped supplying them was because they wanted to stop their research. That's disputable. In reality, they were never told why. When I spoke to some other people involved, they indicated that it appeared to be because the research that they were doing out there, the lab didn't want anything to do with it. Not because it was Big Pharma. That's not the case. That's not really who bought the lab.
And now the Canadian government wants the birds and seize the samples. Yeah. So this situation has
seized what samples? Samples of the antigens? Yeah, because they're storing the antigens on site there somewhere and they have it stockpiled. A whole bunch of COVID antigen somewhere on premises. That's what we were told. And they've got a lot of money wrapped up in it. That is also publicly documented. So that's one of the reasons the farm needs to keep the animals alive. But the way she's portraying it, it's like there's something sinister going on, and they've got this special work, and the government wants to seize it to prevent it from getting out. It's like a conspiracy. In reality, it's the result of them not really following the rules at the farm.
Nothing to do about protecting science, protecting the health of Canadians. It has nothing to do with the H5N1 contamination. Okay. This man goes on to say that these people came on to him.
She's right about that at this point, because at this point, it's all about COVID. There's no research into bird flu at all going on through any of what she's talking about. So she's quite correct to be staying on this track.
His farmland, they weren't even wearing PPE. So there's really no contamination risk, okay? So this is another fraudulent case from the Canadian government and the RCMP, and I just can't believe this. I'm going to get this video and I'm going to post it on here next. But now you guys know the truth.
Oh yeah, you've uncovered it. She's the world's greatest investigative reporter.
Farmer. Okay, guys, huge breaking news. We're then asked.
I shouldn't be laughing. It's this
by
terrible.
our Canadian.
How do you even know what the hell is going on anymore? See if I get killing cures and solutions. Okay, so ostrich antibodies equals nasal spray and filters to protect farms. Millions of lives. Okay, the studies do not back it up yet. They just don't have any studies to back it up. And I spoke to the guy at the mask filter company where they had the intent to purchase. And I told you, and I interviewed him on the program, and he said they didn't have any science to back any of this up. No studies at all. Nothing. And so they couldn't produce the masks. They were hoping to cash in. That's why they signed the intent to purchase. And it never came together in the end. Blah, 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 blah. What was the other thing here? There was another one. Oh, see if I can find it here for you. It's rich. Right there, like this one. Someone just advised me that the Kyoto labs in Japan, working with Universal Ostrich Farms, was just bought out by Big Pharma. Again, it's not true. It's not true. It's not true. It's a mix of information that just confuses the hell out of people. It's not Kyoto Labs. Here, I'll show you. Do I have it still up here from before? Kyoto University, Japan purchased. Right here. Look, just do a search. Just ask Google. Comes right up. It's not Kyoto Labs. That in itself is not an accurate way to describe what it is. It's not a lab company or a laboratory per se. It's a university, and a very small one at that. Right here. Just Kyoto University, Japan purchased by. No, Kyoto University was not purchased. It's right here. Purchased by any entity. It was established as Japan's second imperial university in 1897, was later incorporated as a national university corporation, granting it greater independence while maintaining its public status. Established in 1897 as a national university corporation, it is a public institution, not privately owned or purchased by a separate entity. And then you've got the arm of that, Kyoto Prefectural University, which is like this small independent Dr. Tsukamoto Ostrich. Right here. Kyoto Prefectural University. Right there. I was appointed as president of Kyoto Prefectural University, April 1st, 2020. And this is Dr. Tsukamoto. He's the guy, like the head dude at the university. But it hasn't been sold. It's a conspiracy. They bought the whole lab to suppress the information so that we will all die. Shut up. Whatever. There he is. He's still the president of the university, and it has not been sold. And yeah, they have some labs there because they're a university. And there he is, holding that ostrich egg too. And that's what he's done, is a lot of research into ostrich stuff, antibodies and so on. And then they the farm hooked up with him. We told you about all this stuff. And then some of the information that we've reported on here is finding its way into her stuff, her posts, but she's twisting it all around and not getting it accurate. So here I am as a journalist, taught, taking it to heart all these years. First, whenever possible, accurate without exception. That's always the goal. Accurate without exception. And that's not accurate. It drives me crazy. Maybe I am crazy. What am I missing? As the zombified sheep just go to save the ostriches, save the ostriches. And then they post this stuff and it's just it's not just a circus out there. It's a freaking horror show. And we're all in danger because of it, because we need accurate information in order to make good decisions as a society, to make good decisions on budgets, on laws, on regulations, health regulations, economic policies, tariffs, non-tariff barriers, trading relationships, maybe subsidies for certain industries, including farmers. So you get good health information so that you can actually go to the supermarket and buy products with confidence, knowing they're actually safe, or go to the pharmacy and get a prescription for a drug administered by a doctor who hopefully is properly trained and is giving you good information and advising you of all the risks and benefits that might be associated with it, so that you are fully informed, so that you can give your consent before you allow anybody to administer any medication to you. Well, you get to make a decision as an individual and exercise your rights to say yes or no, but it should be properly informed and not informed by a bunch of propaganda or chaotic information that somebody has just picked up through the grapevine and then put on social media, and then it's amplified by a bunch of political activists, protesters, partiers, whatever they are, out there trying to save a bunch of crazy birds. which they have every right to do. And I support the right to protest, and I support the due process. And I'm glad that they're able to have this thing wind its way through the courts, because it shows that the system works. But you know what's really dangerous here is that there's actually a real concerted effort underway here to undermine the system. That's the real danger. Let it play out in the courts. But when I see people sitting there saying, you got to get your pea shooters and your hockey helmets on and run on out there and stand up, or when I see people saying, let's just knock this fence over, and there's a video out there of them talking about that, or hey, I'm so upset with my country that I'm going to burn the flag, and then they do it, and then the people at the farm deny it, lie about it, only to then have to admit it later the next day, because they've undermined confidence in our institutions. They've undermined pride in their country. They've destroyed public trust. Is the government blameless in that? No, they did it too. So there's no good side in this. And nobody knows who to trust anymore. And therein lies a lot of the problem, because now you don't know where to turn for good information. So people are turning to her. And to the person who posted the secondary thing. It might even be the same person. I don't know. But the university has not been sold. It's not a conspiracy to suppress the information and destroy the research. It's a lie. And that's not the only place I've seen that post today about the university being purchased by Big Pharma, which is not true. It's a lie. And then the other stuff is, Mark Carney owns shares in the human vaccine thing for the bird. I don't know, man. Why should I believe any of you? And why should I go out to that damn farm to participate in your circus when I see you lying, when I catch you in lies? It's somebody's been using the word distasteful from time to time in the chat. Yes, it is, but it's worse than that. It's disgusting, because it's an insult to all of us. It's an assault on our freedom. It's an assault on our democracy. And it's a clear attempt to undermine our country, our sovereignty, by a bunch of people out there who, I don't think this is about the birds at all. And I've shown you why. But I'll tell you, I'm certainly outnumbered these days. It's okay. I can take it. I sleep well at night because I know I am getting us all a little closer to the truth, and I'm not lying. So believe me, don't believe me, that's your choice. Go watch her video if it makes you feel better. Do you think that's true? Okay. There's a little bit of truth in there, but it's all jumbled up and it confuses the hell out of you. There's the truth. Like it or not. Let me just cue something up here. Here we go. Yeah. This is one of my more favorite songs to leave you with here tonight. We're going to probably do more on the ostriches. I don't know if we'll do it tomorrow. I think tomorrow's a big holiday for government, probably the courts. So there probably won't be a decision from the Supreme Court tomorrow. I'm thinking maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Tomorrow is Truth and Reconciliation Day, so we might have some coverage on that. There's already been a little bit of stuff happening in advance of tomorrow's ceremonies and events to mark that day. And opinions will vary considerably on those issues surrounding all of that. Well, that's the other thing. The other thing, this is, maybe I should save it for tomorrow. Yeah, maybe I will. I won't comment on it tonight. We're too close to the end of the broadcast, and it's getting near the top of the hour again. You're going to have to tune in tomorrow to know what I'm even thinking about. It's a mystery, but that's okay. All I can say is tomorrow, I promise, I will try to get you closer to the truth, and I will never, ever, ever knowingly lie to you. because there's way too much other stuff out there that just isn't, it's demonstrably not real, and too many people lying to you, and that has everybody convinced that it is all fake. See you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side.
Biden's about, Charlie's alive. Elvis flips burgers on the Lower East Side. 10 Trumps mask up on your phone. Shilling mean coins by remote drone. Graphene needles in your veins. Chemtrail sugar fries your brain. George Floyd's American hologram pie. Don't trust your lying eyes. It's all fake. It's all fake. The moon is a hoax. Give your head a shake. It's all fake. It's all fake. Your mama's a lizard. Your daddy's a snake. Bigfoot codes, the Mossad plan. Flat Earth truckers fighting the man. Dinosaurs guard an empty fed vault. Truth is dead and it's the media's fault. Conspiracies are real, let it sink in. Time travel, JFK is president again. 9/11's a VR game. The elite cut deals in the devil's name. It's all fake. It's all fake. From the jab to the pills that you take. It's all fake. It's all fake. The Pope's in a bunker with Q as his mate. Your phone's a snitch. Your dog's AI. The king eats penguins in conspiracy pie. JFK, Jr., Cobain, and Tupac. They ain't dead. They're all coming back. It's all fake. It's all fake. Every headline, every handshake. It's all fake. It's all fake. FBI, CIA, KGB, ABC. Are you awake? Don't believe your lying eyes. It's all fake. It's all fake.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.